Welcome to TwilightClan Episode 1. Obviously, a bunch of other YouTubers have been doing the ClanGen challenge, and as I do art and I love this game, I really wanted to jump in. And given that there's been a recent ClanGen update, I thought now seems as good a time as any. So, this is TwilightClan. I'm going to start off with giving you some lore. This clan has been around for many generations, though I am starting it as a new clan. They live in the Crystal Caves, which, kind of like it sounds, is just a cave full of large blue crystals. Because of these crystals and just natural bravado, they believe that they have a unique connection with StarClan. While I explain some of the lore of this clan, enjoy this speed paint of our StarClan guide, Doughpaw. The fact that our StarClan guide was an apprentice who died at only 7 moons old already gave a bit of an ominous vibe to the clan. I feel that they are very spiritual, and death is seen as just another part of life for them. I think they put a lot of value on youth and innocence. And partly because of this value of youth and of family, they're a bit fast and loose with certain rules. For example, the medicine cat is preferred to not have a family because you need to focus on your duties. But they don't always stop the medicine cat. There's often workarounds like adoption. They technically didn't have kits. The other clans sometimes get fed up with TwilightClan's attempts at justifying their clear rule breaking. Something else you're going to notice as you get introduced to everyone is a majority of the clan are she-cats. This partially comes from the fact that this clan doesn't really stop cats from just having partners outside of the clan. Ideally, if you're going to have kits with someone outside of the clan, you're supposed to bring them into the clan so that your family, the clan, can enjoy this moment with you. But that's not always how it works. So, because of that, there's a lot more she-cats. And a lot of important duties will often be passed down from mother to daughter. Or from father to daughter. Or, honestly, it gets passed down in the family. Our story starts with a brand new leader, an 81-moon-old she-cat named CharStar, formerly known as Charleaf. She was named for her dark pelt, obviously. And honestly, she is really pretty, but the most striking feature about her is probably her eyes. More so than her appearance, CharStar is known for being super ambitious, which is why she's the leader now. And she's also got a natural knack for storytelling. That makes her a favorite among TwilightClan's youths. She actually has one child of her own, a daughter named Snapdragon. Though at the end of this first year, Snapdragon is still only 13 moons old. And CharStar had originally planned on making her daughter her second in command, but she's still way too young, and now she's beginning to have some doubts that her daughter would ever follow in her footsteps. Instead, CharStar's current deputy is her former apprentice, a cat named Logflake. Near the end of the year, CharStar broke her leg in a two-leg trap, So here's hoping that can heal up eventually. Because Logflake does not want to take over yet. However, before we can talk about Logflake, there's actually two other she-cats that need recognition for holding the role of second in command under CharStar's reign. The first is Bonash. At the beginning of CharStar's reign, Bonash was already 146 moons, or about 12 and a half years old. That made her the oldest cat in all of TwilightClan. She had already been wanting to retire for a little while before the old leader died, and she was hoping one of CharStar's first acts as leader was going to be to grant that wish. However, that is not what happened. No, instead, CharStar asks Bonash of all cats to step up and be the deputy. Bonash was not exactly thrilled to take this position, and she told CharStar this. But CharStar was Bonash's former apprentice, and she saw the new leader almost as if she were her own foster daughter. And so Bonash reluctantly accepted the position. She would do her former apprentice a favor and help her get her paws under her. But this arrangement was going to be temporary. And it turns out Bonash really meant that. She acted as deputy for only one moon before insisting it's time she retire. And then, in her place, Bonash nominated another former apprentice of hers, Heatherspots. Bonash had a good retirement, finally taking some time to herself, and even becoming the begrudging babysitter of the clan's precious few kittens. But then, at the age of 156 moons old, Bonash was found curled up in her nest, having passed away in her sleep. The second cat to be CharStar's deputy, and the cat who actually served for the majority of this first year, is Heatherspots. Something sort of interesting about her is she was a foundling kitten, and her birth name was Twilight. Her name was changed to Heather to avoid confusion, given that the clan is named TwilightClan. She was also trained by Bonash, and she remained pretty close to her elderly mentor right up until the old she-cat's passing. And during her very first in-game patrol, Heatherspots found a 5-moon-old kitten named Logkit, and continuing in the tradition that brought her to TwilightClan as a kitten, she brought the little she-cat back to camp and named herself as Logkit's adoptive mother. However, that title was more of a technicality, as Heatherspots never really spent much time with the kit. She was already weaned, and Heatherspots wasn't the most motherly of cats, so she and Log were basically just normal clanmates. Nevertheless, she was known in the clan for being very thoughtful, a great swimmer, and the first cat to volunteer for any patrol. She would take early morning walks around the territory, and if there was nothing for her to do, she would make her own tasks. Unfortunately, that can-do spirit meant she was usually neglecting her own needs. She got her pelt torn during a border skirmish, and she broke a leg when she was clipped by a monster carelessly crossing the Thunder Path. Sadly, that broken leg is what caused her eventual demise, as it became infected and she passed away on Moon 12. Her StarClan form still appears with scars, because Heatherspots considered them a sign of her hard work. And in this world, the StarClan form is the most idealistic form of a cat's soul. It includes anything that they saw as important to them. So for her, those scars serve as mementos, so she shows them. In a similar way, Bonash still looks pretty darn old in her StarClan form, because her living to this old age was a very important part of her identity. Now we can finally talk about the current deputy, Logflake. So, Heather Spot's replacement was none other than that very kitten that she took in at the beginning of the year, only a moon after joining TwilightClan. Logpaw became an apprentice. She actually was the apprentice of CharStar. She and the leader got along super well, and the charming leader helped Logpaw start to come out of her shell. But even still, she's known to be one of the more shy cats in the clan. She's really always been picky about her nesting materials, of all things. Her apprenticeship went by pretty quickly. By the age of 12 moons, she got her name, Logflake, and in that very same moon, she was assigned to mentor her own apprentice, the very bossy Cinnamon Paw. Now, at 17 moons old, Logflake has become deputy. She is terrified of the idea that she might have to become leader at a young age. So she hopes desperately that CharStar can just live a long, happy life so that she doesn't have to worry about that possibility anytime soon. Now that the trio of deputies is out of the way, time to look at the residents of the Medicine Cat Den. The oldest Medicine Cat is Ghost Apple, who was 141 moons old at the very beginning of the story, meaning after the death of Bonash, he's now the oldest cat in the clan. He and that first deputy actually grew up together. Ghost Apple even had a bit of a crush on Bonash when they were young. However, when he started training as a medicine cat, he got so busy that he seldom had time to talk to his once beloved friend. The two ended up growing apart as the moons went on, and Ghost Apple still regrets that he didn't make a bigger effort to rekindle their friendship before Bonash died. On a lighter note, he is genuinely the best medicine cat the clan could ask for. He's a good mediator, he's sweet, he's kind, and he's even a prophecy seeker. The only thing missing is an apprentice. Early this year, Ghost Apple stumbled across a dying she-cat and her newborn litter of 5 kittens. Though he couldn't save the mother, he took in the kittens, bringing them back to the clan and claiming them like his own. Everyone, Ghost Apple included, assumed one of these kits would become the apprentice he was waiting for. In probably the biggest plot twist we've had so far, it was not one of Ghost Apple's adopted children, but CharStar's own daughter, Snapdragon, who stepped up to become Ghost Apple's apprentice. In retrospect, the choice makes sense. From the time she was a little kitten, Snapdragon has had an eye for detail, and she quickly became a know-it-all. This would make her a great healer, because she has a great memory, though Ghost Apple will have to curb some of her pride. Being the leader's daughter has made her a bit stuck up sometimes. CharStar was admittedly pretty shocked by her daughter's choice to be a medicine cat, though it's not that she was unsupportive, she just had to rethink her plans for not only her daughter, but for the whole clan. This would just take some adjusting, right? CharStar wants the best for her daughter, though, and Snapdragon has insisted that this is where she belongs. And Ghost Apple certainly enjoys the young she-cat's company. So it'll all work out for the best, right? Close to the end of the year, Ghost Apple and Snapdragon gained another set of helpful paws. Or maybe I should say 4 sets of paws. Jaco joined the clan in Moon 10, and he brought with him his 2 daughters, the polite Ice Kit and charming Freeze Kit, and his very bossy son, Rain Kit. Jaco himself is a kind and playful Tom who had been a wandering loner for most of his life, before he sought out the clans to find a better, safer home for his trio of kittens. This decision was spurred on by the death of his mate, Blizzard. Jaco also seems to have a connection with the Dark Forest, though it's unclear if this is ever going to become a problem, as right now it's not clear that he even knows what the Dark Forest is. Now we move to the warrior den, starting with our most senior warrior, Rocktuft. Rocktuft has always been one of those cats that just seems to have her whole life figured out. She's considered one of the most beautiful cats in the clan, thanks to a tall stature, pretty silver fur, and lovely hazel eyes. She's popular, not just because of her appearance, but because she's a great warrior. She's a formidable fighter, both with claws and with words. It's said she's also compassionate, and she's considered probably the best mentor in the entire clan. In the past, she's already trained two of the other warriors, Vine Tuft and Antler Days. She started this year still training Moonpaw, who has since become a warrior. And then she has spent the last 4 moons of this year training another apprentice named Shaded Paw. So, yeah, she really does seem to have everything figured out. Next up, we have Vine Tuft, another of our senior warriors. So she is a very talented warrior, the oldest of Rocktuft's apprentices. Obviously, she and her mentor were super close, given that she ended up being named after her. She's known to be more rebellious than her mentor, and she's the best climber in the entire clan. Because of this, she's taken to making up her own hunting techniques, where she'll like climb up a rock face and then flip and jump down onto birds or things like that. She started off this year finishing the training of Hawthorn Paw, and after that she's been devoted to training another apprentice named Violet Paw. Now we move on to our young warriors. At the start of this year, Antler Days was by far our youngest warrior. She was only 14 moons old at the time that CharStar took over. She too was trained by Rocktuft, who taught her how to use her voice to win any encounter. She has a silver tongue, but she's secretly pretty cold and standoffish. She can be very cold towards those who have not been invited into her limited social circle. But she really looked up to the older cats in her clan and hoped that they could teach her more, even once she became a warrior. These past couple moons, she has spent training an apprentice of her own named Burnet Paw. Next come a pair of siblings, Moonswarm and Hawthorn Fur. They both started out this year in the apprentice's den. Moonpaw was training under Rocktuft, and Hawthorn Paw was training with Vinetuft. Given that their mentors were so close to one another, it should be little surprise that the siblings often got to train together. These two are actually the grand kittens of Bonash, though neither of them were ever super close to their grandmother while she was alive. The siblings are alike in a lot of ways, both sharing a love of stories and clan heritage. They're also both pretty good hunters. However, while Moon is more rebellious and outgoing, Hawthorne has always been more strict and very cautious. Moonswarm's more daring nature is part of why she got her warrior name, One Moon, ahead of Hawthorne Fir. She also got an apprentice before him. He tries very hard not to be jealous. Unfortunately, Hawthorne Fir has other reasons to be jealous, as he's really not been adjusting great to being a warrior. He got his leg stuck in a two-leg trap halfway through the year, and as of the end of this year, he is still recovering. Last but not least is the apprentice den. Our apprentice den is full of the adopted children of Ghost Apple. There's 3 toms, 2 she-cats, and they are a huge blend of personalities. The eldest is Cinnamon Paw, a headstrong and bossy tom who is apprenticed to Logflake. He is quite the braggart regarding his mentor's role, much to Logflake's chagrin. Still, he really looks up to his mentor, and he wants very much to impress her. He might even have a crush. Who knows? The next eldest are the 2 Mollies, Violet Paw and Burnet Paw. Violet Paw has always been the most vocal of her siblings, often out-yowling even her stronger elder brother. Perhaps this outspokenness comes from her need to prove herself. She was unfortunately born with a joint condition, which can make it very easy for her to overexert herself. Nevertheless, she is growing into a daring and intelligent she-cat, and right now she is being trained by Vinetuft. While Burnet Paw may be physically stronger than her sister, she has never possessed Violet Paw's daring do and confidence. As a kitten, she was very shy and super self-conscious, and now that she's an apprentice, she's still kind of nervous, though she's been coming out of her shell a little bit. She's become very responsible, and she's taken an interest in clan history, but she still has this uncanny ability to spook at the tiniest thing. Her mentor, Antler Days, is trying to train her out of this, but it's been a slow process. Next in line is the charming and fierce Sandpaw, who is the apprentice of Moonswarm. They are probably the most perfectly matched of all the pairs. Sandpaw makes no effort to hide how much he is cozying up to his mentor. He even gave her those poppies she wears, finding the rarest blue poppy that he claims matched her eyes. Her eyes are green. Though it's still way too early to tell, some of the more gossipy cats in the clan think that young Sandpaw might be developing a little crush. Last, but hopefully not least, is the runt of the litter. Shaded Paw has always been a very awkward and self-conscious little tomcat, a lot like his sister, Burnet Paw. In the hopes of convincing him to come out of his shell, CharStar paired him with Rocktuft. She's the most experienced mentor in the clan, so hopefully that would help a bit. It has, but not much. Honestly, most cats question why he didn't want to just follow in his adoptive father's footsteps and just become a medicine cat. After all, he seems to have a unique connection with StarClan and has even helped Ghost Apple in interpreting prophecies. And yet he says that's not where he's meant to be. And nobody wants to argue with him. So I really hope you enjoyed getting to meet TwilightClan. I am definitely going to make more episodes. I've already played through year 2, and we'll be starting on those drawings very soon. So here to leave you off with is a little height chart of everybody.